Once again, it's time for us to turn our beloved Pokemon into humans. This is part of a series where I design human-based designs off of already pre-existing designs, so Pokemon in this instance. And today, we're going to be taking one of the suggestions that you guys put in the comments of the last video, and that's Ponyta. To get started, I want to look at their personality. So basically what we can see from the AI overview, which I don't usually go off of, but it's just there and it's whatever. Ponyta is very like spirited, very loyal, and kind of a lot of energy. But also Ponyta, since it's the starter version, is also more like protective, more shy, and more kind of reserved, away from other people. Like unless you're the Ponyta's owner, it's kind of like reserved, like very, very shy, kind of runs off when they see you. And so I kind of wanted to portray that. I think I kind of went with more like a shy, more reserved pose where she's kind of brushing back her hair. And one of the issues I had with the sketch was deciding whether or not I wanted her hair to be like super curly, super straight. I don't know. I eventually decided to go with straight hair just because I felt like it could further that kind of reserved energy. And using the eyes, I kind of made sure she had kind of like big beady eyes to kind of give it more like she's like shy but playful. Like she's got big eyes. She's got very like big energy to her, but she's just shy and reserved in that sense. So I kind of wanted to interpret that with the design that I was doing. Then for the outfit, I kind of just like looked around on Pinterest for a little bit. Because I had an idea in mind, but I wasn't sure how to like properly express it without seeing like a visual version of it. And I eventually came across this kind of like holstered up top with like shorts with like this transparent kind of tool. I don't know. I kind of really liked how this ended up looking. I think it came out like really cute. The outfit, like I think it kind of fit the character a little bit. And I changed the flow of the arm warmers to just like a more, what's the word, more compact, more fitting kind of outfit. As part of this series, I like to talk about the Pokemon, my experiences with them throughout the games and the anime, and stuff like that. So let's talk about my experiences with Ponyta. First off, as a child, I was absolutely terrified of Ponyta, Rapidash, and the other evolution, if there is one, I don't remember. But I was terrified of them because I don't like horses because they're scary, okay? So already off the bat, I absolutely hated Ponyta. And it's still like that. I still don't like Ponyta as a Pokemon. I just think, I kind of think the design's kind of boring, and I kind of think, like, overall, I just don't really like them as a Pokemon. I don't like using them. I don't like having them in my inventory. I don't like seeing them. Okay, they make me uncomfortable. So that's pretty much my experience. I know that I had a lot more to say about Gengar, but that's because I genuinely like the character, and I think he's got like there's a lot to go off of with Gengar. There's a lot of different routes you can take it. But with Ponyta, I absolutely hate them so much. I hate them as a Pokemon. Never want to see them again. Um, I know that they're probably a lot of people's favorite Pokemon though, and I do understand why. I can kind of get the aesthetics behind it, like a really cool fast horse with a lot of firepower. That's pretty cool, you know what I mean? But I absolutely hate them, so sorry folks, but personally, Ponyta just isn't for me. Um, yeah, so that's my experience with Ponyta. Um, I never really like understood the hype or like why people like them. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna talk a bit about the artwork itself because that's what you're here for. That's what the video is about. It's about my art and my design. So let's talk about that, I guess. Basically, when line art in this piece of work, I decided to do a more sketchier line art. You can see there's a few like more solid, smooth lines, like in the hair, where I thought it was more necessary to be more like consistent. But for the rest of the body and the clothes, I decided to do this more like etchy thing to kind of like continue with that playful energy. Um, just stuff like that. I like to make sure that my art is very like personalized, that I've thought about every step of what I do. And it's just something about being more like concise with my thought process. But yeah, I really like the line art and how it came out. I feel like it definitely gives off this more like energetic, more playful vibe. So it's something I really do like doing sometimes because I know some people really prefer like smooth line art, but when it comes to more like energetic or you know playful characters, I prefer to do more like a mischievous, etchy kind of art style. And then when it came to actually coloring the artwork, I decided to kind of take the colors exactly from the image of Ponyta, so color picking, and then slightly altering it to be more human, a little less saturated for the skin, and a little more like pinkish. Not too pinkish though, because I still wanted to keep that yellow tonage. I also did the same for the hair, where I color picked from the hair and then kind of made a gradient so that it kind of started like blonde natural on top and then kind of like darker orange on the bottom. And I think I really like how that came out because it kind of gives off this like dyed, kind of rebellious, dyed, but kind of still reserved kind of vibe. And I think that's kind of what I was going for with Ponyta. For the eyes, I just kind of freeballed it, to be honest. I saw it in the image, they had kind of like browny, reddish eyes, so that's what I went with, and then I added a bit of gold just to kind of add a bit more correlation to the rest of the design. You can see I spent quite a while trying to get the hair gradient right. I don't know why I was struggling so much, but that's me for you. And then for the actual colors of the clothes, I just went for this like rich orange color. It's not neon per se, but it's kind of got like a very vibrant radiance to it, and that's just like what I was really thinking with. And then I was trying different gradients, and I eventually came across this one, which I thought came out pretty cute. And then since I suck at coloring, I really didn't know how I was gonna do the like transparency of the tool. So I kind of just like erased a bit of like a multiply layer and added more multiply layer and kind of fucked around and see how it came out. You know what I mean? After that, I decided to add a little bit more interest to the design of the clothes because I thought they looked a little bit too boring, a little bit too dull. So I kind of added this like sun and dots design where it's kind of like these white little sun symbols with little dots around, and I think it kind of came out pretty cute. I think I like how it came out. After that, I moved on to shading. Now, everybody will always say, like, never shade this way, never just shade with the multiply layer, or never shade with just black and all this and that, but shade however you want, guys. I'm not gonna lie. If you're an artist, you're an artist. You do things differently to every other artist, and that's totally fine. Like, you don't have to copy what everyone else says. You don't have to copy, any tutorials if you don't want to. So I shade by using a multiply layer, because I'm lazy, and I don't like to do that. Or another good way to do it is to pick your original color, and depending on the environment, you can put more saturation to it and turn it a little bit darker. And that's also a good way. Or put a little bit more saturation and turn it to a more warm tone on the color wheel. And those are good ways to shade as well. Honestly, just shade however you want. I've just seen a lot of discourse lately about shading online that really annoys me because as an artist, shade however you like to, you know what I mean? Then I added another multiply layer, kind of like erased it to see what was going on, see what I liked, what I didn't like. I find it easier to kind of picture my mistakes or like visualize what I want to change when there's something covering the image, and I don't know why, but it works for me. Then you'll see you'll see it multiple times throughout this time lapse that I go back to the breast area because I'm really just struggling there. You can tell that I don't often draw like women, so you can tell that I'm struggling with that a little bit. Um, I think overall it came out really cute. I do really like it. As you can see here, I'm going through first shading and kind of like fixing everything, changing the highlights on the hair to be more like white instead of yellow. Because I did want it to come off a little bit more natural. Um, as opposed to like absolutely just like not at all. And I think it came out pretty cute. I do really like the shading and I do really like how it came out. After that, I moved on to I want to say the background, but I was so lazy with the background. For the background, I took my old image, um, cut down so it was just the grass of the image, got rid of the white borderline like layer, and then added some trees in the background, and that was the design of the background. Obviously, you don't have to be lazy like me. Just be better than me. Do an actual background. You don't have to just, you know. But to be honest, it was like 2 a.m. when I was drawing this, so you know, you can see me just like messing about with colors and stuff, and that's just all I do for my art. I'm a very like play it by the ear, do it as you go along kind of guy. And that's kind of how I was doing this whole process. And I'm pretty sure that's how I'll always do my process, because it's just what I find fun. Like, I find it fun to be playful and to try new things. So, but yeah, you can see here I'm doing the background and I'm doing the thing I said where I just like take it and do whatever. Very lazy, very goofy, but you know what? If it works for me, it works for me. If it saves me from spending my time doing an extra background, it's whatever. Over like finally, like to finish it off, I added like an orange multiply layer over top of the background to kind of make it more orangey to make it match with the image, and that was my drawing completed. Overall, I really like how this piece came out. I don't prefer it to my Gengar one, but I'm pretty sure that's just because I have a bias against Ponyta and really despise like the character, the design of Ponyta. But yeah, overall, I do really like how it came out. I feel like I was able to represent my idea of Ponyta and what I think about Ponyta into an image properly, which is kind of what I was working towards. I know a lot of people might have different opinions on that, and that's totally fine. Having said that, if you guys want to recommend another Pokemon for me to do down below, I would totally appreciate that. And I would love to do your favorite Pokemon, so get down to commenting, and I will pick just a random one, really. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Also, join the Discord server if you're into art or redesigning things, anything like that. I just love talking about things there. I want to be more active in my Discord server and set up like art events and like events where we can do stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!